American brings an offense averaging over 40 points per game into the Coliseum to face the red-hot USC Trojans. Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio, presented by Dr. Pepper.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
What up, dope?
I'm David Jacoby. We're Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do we do, Jalen? You're not going to sing? Disappointed in you. The people are disappointed in you. You're really not going to sing,
I have
are you?
bad sinuses. The audience doesn't like my voice.
What?
And doesn't that sound much better?
Nope.
It does not, Mr. Rose. You've changed.
We got it cleared.
You've changed. You've really changed.
I don't carry a bat anymore.
You've really changed. You're wearing button-ups, buttoned up to the top.
Well, I had a discovery that I'm not proud of today. Usually, when I pull a doubleheader, as I call it in my life, that's do Jalen and Jacoby as well as NBA Countdown, I need to go get a haircut. Obviously, to be on television and want to be crisp. And so if you notice on past shows, you can look back through this, I always wear a zip-up like hoodie because I don't want to pull a shirt or anything over my head after I get a cut. It may keep the cut crisp 10% better or 1% better. The bottom line, it makes me feel better. And that's what fashion and grooming is about.
Look good, feel good, play good.
Yep.
And you know what I realized when I was getting ready today? I had an epiphany.
You were wearing an official photographer's vest from Madrid?
No, I was going to put on a zip-up polo shirt, a hoodie.
Oh.
And I was like, wait a minute. You can actually wear a button-up and not have to pull it over your head, stupid. And I was like, I can start wearing button-ups.
There are so many things I want to get to. The weekend in the NFL, Westbrook and Durant showdown, Durant going off, the Cavs dominating the Celtics. But I want to drill down on this because this is something that we've talked about a lot. So for NBA Countdown, you get your hair cut. You have your stylist come and give you fancy shirts, tailored suits. When you're on NBA Countdown, you got to dress up. It's the prom. But when you're here with us, it's like you're in a dive bar. Like you don't care what you look like. You wear the same thing once a week, over and over and over again. You don't get your hair cut. Your waves aren't brushed. It's just like you treat this like it means nothing to you. You know?
I treat this like it's home, like it's my sanctuary, like this is our man cave.
Good.
And I don't necessarily feel like I need to get dressed up to be here.
So what brings us to this is you are wearing a button-up now because you realize that you could actually unbutton the buttons on the button-up and then remove your shirt and not mess up your hair, which needs to be meticulously in place for Countdown, okay? Here's the thing. I've never had trouble taking off my shirt without messing my hair up. Like, it's just, I didn't know this was a phenomenon. Like, can't you? I mean, like, you're an intelligent human being, right? Isn't there a way you can just remove a shirt without messing your hair up?
There isn't, because there is parts of the shirt that'll hit the side parts of my head and also may affect my hairline.
Yep.
And I care about that.
I know you do.
And also, more importantly, it's refreshing when I'm a part of this show to wear the same 5 outfits for 5 years.
This is cozy. It's real cozy
Like,
in here.
I have 4 or 5 pairs of Pumas. I promise. I've been wearing them the last 2 or 3 years. And you know what I also paid attention to? You can actually get multiple wears. Like, you rock some Air Force Ones or something like that. That's 1 or 2 wears. They're done.
What?
I'm like, wait a minute. I'm still rocking these. So what I'll do for this program from now on, I'll make a promise to you. I'll start being fresh on here.
You know who made it?
I'll start being
very
crispy
clear?
on
Do you
here.
know who made it very clear that they don't have these problems in their lives? Charles Barkley. He just does one show. He does one show. He has to put on one suit. He doesn't have to do new outfits.
And
you know,
I guess they were talking about talent like me, who on TNT, where they mentioned working at ESPN on multiple platforms.
be on ESPN 1, 2, 3,
Radio,
Deportes, radio,
news,
digital.
I'll take it.
You're there. You're there. You can't turn ESPN on and not see Jalen Rose.
But I'm disappointed. They left off the most important thing.
What was that?
Network TV. This is ABC too, baby. You know, come on.
3 letters. 3 letters. You love the ABC days.
That's network.
You love the ABC days.
Because here's the thing. When we were watching that commentary, you know what time it was? You might as well have been watching the World Series. It was 1 a.m.
I wasn't watching. You think I was up for that? Are you crazy? I seen the internet the next day.
That's why I say, and I love their show. Everybody knows Charles is one of my idols, like my big brother. I talk to him really often.
Whenever you say something real nice, you better say something
Same as Kenny, same as Shaq, who also promised to come on this show. There is no but. That's why I always acknowledge that it's apples and oranges when you compare Countdown to their show, because it's almost late night TV.
It is.
Kimmel, things of that nature, because it's at 1 a.m. As opposed to what you just mentioned, if I'm on ABC, that's infants and elderly. So there is a level of restraint and discipline that you have to have. But the other thing I learned about this multimedia space is what I say and what we say on this program is one audience. It's refreshing to be talent that tries to be versatile enough to entertain multiple audiences. That's really tough to do. We have a radio show. We have a podcast, which aren't mutually exclusive. Just because people watch or listen to one, that don't mean they're doing the other.
No.
The same with our television show. Just because you see it on ESPN2, you might not see it on ESPN News.
You might not even know there is a podcast.
You might not even know that either.
You might not even know it's a radio show too.
Correct. So I appreciate what we're trying to get accomplished. I appreciate that this is different. This is a nationally syndicated show.
Charles.
This looks different.
Charles.
And we take pride in it.
Charles. But you don't take enough pride to dress up a little bit. You don't take enough pride to get a haircut for this show.
Here's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start having my outfits be like, he's fresh on that show. I'll do it. Collared shirts, sweaters,
because that'll make me set my game up a little bit. Because I'm getting comfy too. I'm getting real cozy.
I'll start doing? I'll tell you what I'll really start doing too. I'll be so crisp that people will actually be worried about sometimes what I'm wearing more so than what I'm saying.
I don't think that'll be the case.
I don't need to.
Do you know what you will... Something that will always be the highest priority to you on this program. Something that matters more to you on this program than anything else. The only thing that matters to you on this program. Your background. Your background. The people that listen to this and you're driving home in your car and you hear us, what you don't understand is we do this from a studio that is adorned with various different images of various human beings throughout history. And Jalen Rose is absolutely obsessed with his background.
And I call them immortals because everybody you see, they're in character, in theory. They're in a movie. It's their album cover. They're projecting. They're not current people that are projecting these images. And the reason why that's important is when you watch all national shows, and I'm fans of so many, when I see Dan Patrick, he has Sports Illustrated models up. Or when you see Mike and Mike, they have bobbleheads. Or Russillo and Cannell, they might have football helmets. Mm-hmm. And so everybody has their thing. So for us, it was important to embody our personalities because we know we have a unique demographic of people that follow what we do. And when we're not speaking, you want people to be able to play out the imagery of what you represent, kind of like getting tattoos. The majority of people that watch watch our shows on television, guess what? They're not hearing it. They're at a bar, they're at a restaurant, they're on about. And so that imagery is really important. And that's why I didn't need Colin Kaepernick to take a knee for the national anthem in order to put the Ali Summit picture up or to put the John Carlos, Tommy Smith picture up. We already been doing that, and we take pride in it.
We had a big game in the NBA. We all know what happened. We all saw the dominance from the Warriors over the Thunder. But here's what I really want to talk about. Enes Kanter, Enes Kanter, you're going to be the one chirping from the bench?
So I'm glad you brought this up.
It's the first thing I wanted to bring up about the game.
I'm glad you brought this up because I'm going to peel back the onion. When you question who's talking trash, it's almost like the argument of you didn't play, so I shouldn't value your opinion. And then I'll say to somebody, well, what about women? They don't play football. Does that mean that they shouldn't cover the sport? The reason why I bring this up is you shouldn't have to be an all-NBA performer to talk trash.
No. Oh, okay, I can go the other way on this one, though.
Why are we questioning Enes Kanter having something to say? You know what I like as a former player? Here's what I like. That he was the only one that actually said something. Are you kidding me? I was so mad watching that game. I couldn't believe that 13 guys ran up and down the court and didn't say anything to KD.
Oh, we got a problem here?
KD was barking at the bench at one point, and then Enes Kanter sort of spoke up, I guess, on behalf of the bench. We don't know what words were exchanged.
Man, listen.
But KD said it right after the game. He said, oh, how many minutes did he play? Oh, 3?
You know how hard...
He'll probably put something on Twitter tonight.
You know how hard it is to continue to foster negative energy? There's basically a study that says it takes 2 times the amount of energy to foster negative energy versus positive energy.
That's probably why I'm so tired.
The reason why I bring this up is he played with those guys, became an MVP, a 4-time scoring champion. It's harder for Robeson, Westbrook, all of these guys to go through a 48-minute game without saying anything to him than actually doing it. You have to try not to say something to somebody.
Okay, what if you're Jeremy Grant and you actually do it? You dunk on Kevin Durant. You give him a little look.
This is where I'm going to part the road for you. I'm glad you brought that example up. I'm bringing you behind the curtain in the locker room. You know what's different about Jeremy Grant and all of those other guys? He didn't play with KD in Oklahoma City.
He didn't play with anybody on the court. He just got there.
So that lets you... That's my point exactly. His emotion toward KD should have been all of their emotion toward KD.
Yep.
So I don't have any problems with Kanter on the bench talking. I have more of a problem.
You have a problem with Steven Adams trying to stop him?
I have more of a problem with Steven Adams trying to stop him. You know what I did?
What do you want to have happen? You want everyone to stand up and start chirping?
No, here's what I want. I want you to get your hand off my leg, Steven Adams, before I break it. That's what I want. Don't tell me what to say. I didn't like that at all. I was not a fan of that. You got your $100 million deal. You handle it the way you want. I got my $80 million deal. I handle it the way I want. Don't muzzle me. Don't touch me. Get your hands off me. And we down 20.
23. As they go into half, Kevin Durant is 6 for 7 from 3. Absolutely on fire. And you support Enes Kanter chirping with them.
The only thing you need to talk trash is a mouth and a voice.
Yeah.
It's not a statistical category. It's not a status thing. You don't have to be an all-star. You don't have to be having a great game. All you got to do is have a voice.
It's impossible to disagree with that, okay? But it is different when you're talking trash. In KD's shoes, when you're 6 for 7, you're hitting deep threes, you hit your heat check shot, and you've got an and one, and you're cursing at the team, and you're on fire. That's different than when you're on the bench, you haven't gotten the game, and you're not affecting the game anything besides running your mouth at the guy who is performing well.
My stats only matter. How many minutes I play only matter because we lost. KD couldn't have said that if we won.
Exactly.
So that's the Monday morning quarterback aspect of it. My point is, every time I play against him, there should be a physical, mental, emotional, psychological warfare, and I say this in the sports context, toward their former teammate, because you now have to show him, just like this happened with LeBron. When he left Miami, you know what he was doing? Hey, Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, I have a better chance of winning a championship with Kevin Love and Kyrie.
Decision.
We can say he wanted to go home.
It just so happens the team was in Cleveland.
It just so happened that team plays basketball in Cleveland. Okay? And his home is Akron, by the way. If those two guys, he didn't know that he was going to play with them, he wouldn't have went back. He didn't just go back, oh, I want to go play for the team that's in the lottery.
And then look at the roster.
He did his letter about announcing he was going back and left off Andrew Wiggins. He was the number 1 pick. This is orchestrated. So I say all that to say this. The next time these two teams play, I guarantee you, from an emotional and physical standpoint, you will see those players challenge KD. It took more energy for them to walk past him for 48 minutes and not say nothing, and he giving you work? 39, that's the most a player has ever scored against his former team. Take it from somebody that has a few former teams.
So here's what I don't like.
That's tough to do.
Here's what I don't like. 20% of the league is your former team. Here's what I don't like. I don't like the photographer's vest. Right? We all know the history. Russell Westbrook always wears something silly to a game. This time he wore an official photographer's vest, like one of those things. It's kind of like a credential/vest. He got it from someone in Madrid. And, is he making fun of the fact that KD was taking pictures at the Super Bowl? Is he making fun of the fact that KD's hobby is photography? Yes, he is. But he's denying it. So it's like at least he has cancer, at least just saying something right to his face in front of cameras and sort of like owning it. Whereas Russell Westbrook is sneak dissing him, kinda, and then denying that it has anything to do with him after the fact.
Well, it's tricky because it's not a sneak diss if you and I both know what we're talking about. Yeah. It just, I don't have to let the rest of the world in.
Okay, but Jalen, no, I agree with you.
Okay.
But he knows that we know what he's talking about.
But we didn't know prior. Therefore, he wasn't asked about it. And then it was acknowledged later after the fact when they already got blown out. So now you can take that as you're going to analyze after the fact and say it probably wasn't the best idea since they got thumped. But had they won, we would not only be doubling down on him doing it, but how he played and them going on the road getting a victory.
You know what happened, though? Watching the game, I realized there's no chance they're going to win.
This, however, is why, and we talked about this going into the game. You said, what you think going to happen? I said, Golden State going to thump them.
I mean, it wasn't even close.
Okay.
And when you start looking at Laverne is in the game, Jeremy Grant's in the game,
right.
Kyle Singler's in the game, you're like, wait a second. Like, this isn't the Thunder team I remember beating the Spurs.
And they only won 73 games last year.
This isn't the Thunder team that had the Warriors down 3-1.
And also, the bigger issue is, I always talk about winning the score of the game or the game of life. I always talk about the story versus the headline. So the story is going to be every time KD and Russell Westbrook face off, everything from how they respond to one another to how they play to who wins or loses. But the actual headline is a lot different because they're playing for two different things. When you look at Russell Westbrook's roster, he's playing to try to lead those guys to the playoffs, and for that to happen, he has to play at an MVP level. KD's playing for multiple championships because he joined a team that already has one. So the story is going to be about them going against each other, and right now it's 1-0 Golden State, but the true headline is going to happen in June. And the Golden State Warriors have a great opportunity to be playing basketball then. OKC doesn't. But this is why everybody now loves Russell Westbrook. Because they see that he has that fire that you're talking about. They see that he's creating a rival. They see that he's playing with that passion. And that, during a regular season, is what you expect from all of the NBA players.
And again, I'm just going to give a suggestion to Kevin Durant of how he can end all of this. All this controversy, all this talk, all of this can be ended with a simple Russell Westbrook tattoo on his thigh, life-size, right next to Rick James, right next to Tupac. Just be like, Russell, you're my brother. You are forever my brother, tattooed on my thigh. Do you think that'll happen?
Never say never at this point.
What? Right before the Warriors absolutely dominated the Thunder,
Warriors come out and play.
LeBron and the Cavs played the Celtics. The Celtics are looked at as potentially the second best team in the Eastern Conference. Here's the thing. There's a large gap between the Cavs and the Celtics, and it's larger than the scoreboard indicated. The Cavs look good. They look together. The Celtics look a little thin. And when Kyrie Irving has time to put the ball off the backboard so LeBron can dunk it, you know you're stunting.
Yep.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are clearly the class of the Eastern Conference. So we're not going to talk about who's going to challenge them because the teams that I think that are in that conversation, the Celtics, the Raptors, and the Pacers, will all consider this a successful season if they lost to the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to talk more about the Celtics here because the special thing that Danny Ainge was able to do, first, is draft well. Mm-hmm. Avery Bradley, I've talked about him on this program the last year and a half.
You love Avery Bradley.
He would have been one of those guys, if I was a rival GM, I would have tried to pull what people felt like was a bad deal or give up too much to try to get stock in him early. I saw him as a prospect coming.
And you have, because we've been watching NBA basketball games for a while, and you've been talking about Avery Bradley for years now. Last night, 10 rebounds. 9 defensive rebounds for Avery Bradley.
And so you put him in a backcourt with Isaiah Thomas, fleece the Phoenix Suns, acquiring him. He becomes an all-star. Now all of a sudden you legitimized your backcourt. You still want Marcus Smart, who's a tough defender, to become a better shooter. Up front is where you take the next step. Because not only do you sign a current all-star in Al Horford, you sign him outright as a free agent. That means something in professional sports when you're able to sign a guy outright as a free agent that's an all-star.
So you keep bringing this up, and casual fans like myself probably don't make the distinction between someone that you trade for, who's kind of going there against their will, and someone who can pick any single logo of all the teams in the NBA and decides, I want to go to Boston.
And the reason why that's notable is as times have changed and things have become more global, in particular with TV rights and internet and whatnot, it's not as attractive for top flight players to chase the big market. That line of thinking of all players want to be in LA or New York, that's over.
That's a decade ago.
And so, in particular in the Northeast, in the East Coast, those teams have had trouble, if you look over the last decade, outright signing free agents. Who have the Knicks signed? Amari Stoudemire?
Is it outright free agent? I mean, no one that notable.
I just gave you
that was it.
A player.
I don't like to talk about
For Philadelphia, you can't name one.
The Raptors are hard too. DeMar Carroll.
And so because of that, when you're able to acquire Horford the way they did, now it lends to one more move Nolly really solidifies us as a team. They still that one move away. So playing against the Cavs without Crowder and without Horford, I'm not surprised that the Cavs won and won easily. I was actually more impressed that the Celtics were able to continue to fight and stay in the game.
Knicks fans, don't talk to me about Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah. Okay? Don't talk to me about that. They're not top flight.
And Joakim Noah, I'm pretty sure, he looks at the new contract that he got from Knicks. For the Knicks, he like, I'm glad I won Defensive Player of the Year a few years ago. Good looking.
Yeah. That was a legacy contract.
What a homecoming.
Ty Lue said LeBron could average a triple-double if he wanted to.
No,
That doesn't mean much to me. It just doesn't mean much to me that, if he wanted to. Like, you know what LeBron James is trying to do? He's trying to win games, trying to rest. He's trying to win the war, not the battle, the nightly battle that is a regular season basketball.
Okay, now here's where I come with some basketball analysis. Hit the brakes. No, he can't.
Why not?
Because in order for that to happen, you have to lead your team in rebounds. He will not lead the Cavs in rebounds. That's going to go to Kevin Love. That's going to go to Tristan Thompson.
So why do you say Russell Westbrook can average a triple-double, but LeBron James can't?
Because Russell Westbrook and Draymond Green...
Steven Adams is going to get more rebounds.
And I'm bringing another person into this conversation. Russell Westbrook and Draymond Green can lead their teams in rebounds plus assist. That's why I think it will be more likely for one of those players than LeBron, especially at this point of his career.
This statement from Ty Lue is to me doesn't mean much because it's like LeBron James is not going to lace up his shoes and say, tonight I'm going to dedicate my time and effort to getting a triple-double.
I disagree with you.
He's not going to do that.
I disagree with you.
He's not going to do that.
Greatness continues to challenge itself on a nightly basis. And just because he doesn't tell us, when I watch games, I can tell what statistical categories players are going for. And the funniest thing is when guys act like they don't know their stats. If you've ever been to an NBA arena, you got to be blind not to know your stats.
Okay, you know how many fouls you have?
There's a big mega scoreboard up there that has all of the numbers in the world on them. Okay?
And they hand you a box sheet.
And you get a stat sheet after every timeout. Not after every
quarter.
It
was every quarter.
No, exactly. Not every quarter.
And they hand it to every
after
player?
Every timeout. No, you hand it to the coaching staff.
Okay.
And of course, the coaches ain't going to the huddle and passing out stat sheets every time out. So from that, does LeBron James have the capability of being the most versatile player in the game? Of course, he's shown to be that. He's the best player. But can he average a triple-double like Oscar Robertson did? Not gonna be able to do it. And this is from a player that
I love LeBron. I love LeBron. He could if he wanted to. I agree with Ty Lue. It's just he does not want to.
No. That's like saying...
That's not his goals.
No.
It's not even in his top 10 priority list. It's not get a triple-double.
Can I tell you something? When you can do something, you do it. When you LeBron James.
I disagree. I disagree. I think LeBron James would rather just play as few minutes as possible, be as rested as possible for the playoffs.
I'm giving listen, when you go to the water cooler and this conversation comes up, I just gave you guys the real science behind it. It has nothing to do with him being one of the top 5 players of all time, because he is. I had him pass Larry Bird in that category when the Cavs won this championship. This does not say anything about his greatness. He's top 10 in points and assists, but not in rebounds. In order to average a triple-double, that means you're getting 10+. That would mean he would need to lead his team. He will not lead his team in rebounds.
He wants to receive the outlet pass. He does not want to throw the outlet pass.
And here's another thing for you. When the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar conversation comes up, can he pass him at 32? Basically playing until he's 40. How many points is he going to need? I got something for that for you before you even go there.
We can talk about that.
Hit the brakes. That's not happening either. And I'm going to tell you why. This year, when you look down at the stat sheet at the end of the season, this is going to be the first time LeBron James has played basketball that he will not lead his own team in scoring. That's going to be Kyrie Irving.
I can buy that.
So what we're seeing from him clearly as a scorer should be on the decline. And I don't see him as a player that wants to play 8 more seasons. I see him as a player like, oh, I missed a dunk. Oh, I don't have the lift. I'm done. LeBron James has become a mogul in front of our eyes. He's playing and representing other players. Do y'all see what's happening? J.R. Smith and Tristan Thompson are his teammates.
He's negotiating on their behalf through the media to the front office that he's basically a part of.
Come on. Is everybody paying attention to what's going on? He ain't about to be out here trying to chase Kareem record at 36, trying to average 13 points.
So you think it's when he rises up to dunk and realizes he doesn't have the same lift. For me, do you know what's really going to be? When he finally has to shave the whole head thing. That's when he's going to be like, you know what? It's over. I'm getting out the pick. I'm going bald. I'm now joining the media. Yep. Cubs parade today. Cubs fans stayed up late Wednesday evening, watch their team.
Would it go from maybe
celebrate.
Wrigley to Harmony Park? Probably.
Yep. People were out there 5 a.m. this morning to celebrate the Cubs.
Rightfully so.
I imagine in Wrigleyville, there's been some adult beverages imbibed.
No.
By fans.
No.
But here's the thing. It just starts to get sloppy now. No one really slept on Thursday night that much. People waking up in the morning and start drinking. It's just like, it sounds like a lot.
And here's how you know you're
making the river blue.
This is when you know you're binge drinking. When you order a Bloody Mary. I know it's 9 a.m. and you're trying to act like that's not alcohol. Yes, it is.
It is. It is. Just because there's tomato juice in it and not Sprite doesn't change the vodka content.
It's still 9 in the morning.
Just because it looks like a V8 doesn't mean it's going to set you straight. Players riding on their little boats, their floats, and the parade vehicles.
Float on.
Going through Chicago.
Float on.
But Friday is the right day for the parade, so at least everybody can go back to work on Monday. You know? Kyle Schwarber.
Get back to a sense of normalcy. I'm happy for the city of Chicago. Played there a couple of years. Obviously have a lot of friends that still live there. And it's a great sports town.
So LeBron James has to dress up like a Chicago Cub now. Made a bet with Dwayne Wade. When he goes to play in Chicago.
Now you see why I feel like they did that backwards. Imagine if LeBron James, when
Disagree.
the Bulls go to Cleveland.
Completely disagree.
Imagine if he had to walk into his home game in front of his home fans wearing the Cubs uniform. That would be something.
You want the 20,000 people in the arena to react to it. Like, you want to enjoy that moment with the city that is champions. You don't want to make the other city feel bad.
That's the purpose of a bet, to make the person that you beat kind of feel bad.
Yeah, and they're going to feel bad when they have
He's
to
not
walk
going to
in the
feel
arena
bad in
surrounded by
Chicago.
Cubs fans.
It's going to be fun. He's going to be a hero. It's going to be like, oh, LeBron James is such a good sport. Look at him in Chicago wearing his Cubs gear, as opposed to if he was in Ohio.
Anyone ever see him in Ohio wearing Cleveland Indians gear?
The things that he wore didn't say Indians. They said Cleveland.
He had one hat. He had one hat with a C on it.
Yeah, because LeBron's a Yankees fan
We all know
and a
that.
Cowboys fan.
You know who I feel good for? Steve Bartman.
I think this is getting overplayed. It's getting overplayed.
Why you say that?
Because I don't appreciate how he continued to be vilified. I also talked about, as a player, you also can control the narrative. And if Moises Alou would have handled that play emotionally different and didn't get so upset at him, I don't think the team would have had that meltdown.
Everybody was reaching for the ball around Bartman.
Correct, and would have been in that same position. So, again, the way he was vilified, I don't agree with. I'm glad that he feels some sort of vindication with them finally winning it.
I like what you said, though. Moises Alou, keep it moving. Keep it moving. You're not gonna get that out back. You're not gonna get the ball back. Yelling at the fans isn't gonna help. It's just gonna make the vibe weird for everybody in the whole stadium, and that's what happened. Y'all lost. Doesn't matter now, though. He said he's overjoyed that the Cubs won, but he didn't want to be a part of the parade.
But also, he's a true fan and season ticket holder. Like, this guy was keeping score of the game.
Listening
while
to the
watching
radio
it and listening to the radio
yeah.
broadcast.
I'm not listening to the radio broadcast while I'm at the
So
field.
I'm rolling. He's a true fan.
Richard Sherman had some things to say about the sagging NFL ratings.
When Richard Sherman gets back to the West Coast, he promised to be a guest in this studio on this very program. We could get him on the phone, but I'm pretty sure if we have him right here,
he came by.
we'll get more on wax.
So
One of the most thoughtful athletes currently in the game, in any professional
Before
sport.
we launched this show, Jalen Jacoby, and I still am also a producer in development at ESPN. And one of the things as a producer in development at ESPN is you look at people that are in the sport and you say, that guy is going to work for us. Like, one day, Richard Sherman will be an excellent member of the media if that is something that he decides he wants to do. Same thing with Draymond Green. Those are two people I'll tell you right now, I'm buying stock in those two media careers. If I was a sports media agent, I'd be sending them presents, flowers, meals, texts all the time.
And now to what he said about the NFL being a no-fun league. This is something that's been echoed on this program since the beginning of the year by us, because I used two players as an example who both had mega success when you're on the cover of Madden and you're Odell Beckham playing in New York, multiple commercials, but you haven't played in a playoff game yet. And then you're Cam Newton, number one pick, won a championship at Auburn, MVP of the NFL, made it to the Super Bowl. Now his team seems to be having a hangover. Had a concussion, even forced him to miss a game. And this is a running quarterback. Now we're questioning, and he's second-guessing his style. Both of those guys, face of franchise-type people in the league, have come out and used these exact terms. I'm not having fun.
Oh,
What's not fun is when you're not shining, when you're not winning, when you're not dabbing, when you're not motorcycling when you score every other possession, when you're not showing up your opponent with your greatness and your exploits on the football field. So I want to point that out first.
I don't think that applies to Richard Sherman, though.
That's where I'm going. What Richard Sherman is talking about when he says no fun, because you have to distinguish, because you have three players saying that it's not fun.
Sure. Two of them are saying, I'm not having fun playing the game. Richard Sherman's taking more of an objective look at the league as a whole.
Correct. And what he is saying, and he's pinning it towards TV ratings, is what we said. The NBA has become cooler because they have not legislated the fun out of it. Russell Westbrook can show up at the game wearing whatever he wants.
And there's rules against that.
LeBron James can pump his bicep as many times as he wants after an and one.
Rules against that, too.
Kevin Garnett used to thump his chest and hit his head against the backstop as many times as he wants. Same with Steph Curry when he makes a three. That's what Richard Sherman is saying. He's acknowledging that fans see the athletes not being stymied, so therefore it's not as expressive, which doesn't come off as attractive, which is why, in his opinion, the ratings are down.
No, I don't think that's a reason people are watching less football. I don't necessarily agree with him that there's a direct correlation between the sort of expression of the athletes on the field and the ratings being down. I think it's more complex than that. But I 100% agree with him that sometimes you have to let people express their emotions so they're relatable. And you have and when I see someone score a soccer goal, a big soccer goal at the end of a game, and they just can't control their exuberance.
Brandy Chastain takes off her shirt,
lose their minds, and that I sometimes it brings tears to my eyes just from watching it on the television because their emotion touches my emotions. And I think there's a part of that is the enjoyment of watching the National Football League games is feeling through the players the exuberance of the celebrations.
So think about it like this. They're already wearing equipment. So based on that, without personality, it can become robotic. And the league highlighted a specific position, quarterback, to make face of franchise promotional advertising star of individual team 32 times over. But the problem with that is there aren't many elite quarterbacks.
Nope.
So when you're not promoting that position, because of the style of play, devalued the running back position in a lot of ways, especially when they get towards 30, more carries, there are more dual backfields, there's more spread, not necessarily having guys run between the tackles. They're just shared backfields. And you see the other skill positions, in particular wide receiver or D-back, that can express themselves, but it gets suppressed based on the rules of the game. J.J. Watt broke through that mode as a defender that became a household name, but he's injured. So it's interesting to see how they continue to promote the game and who they're going to promote. That also lends to the popularity and the relatability of fans.
Richard Sherman, come on the show. We got a spot for you. We'll have waters for you, iced coffees. Jalen oftentimes brings snacks.
And I'll make sure I play all songs that represent Compton, his hometown.
Let's do that.
I just got a text that I'm really happy about, and it relates to being the founder of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. You know, the one thing about doing a philanthropic project is trying to get people to participate via their time, energy, and money.
It's hard.
And you, my brother, I appreciate you've dedicated all of that to helping my goals happen at JRLA.
Can't just talk about it. Got to be about it.
Absolutely. We're a 9 through 16 model. And for everybody listening to this program, I want you to not only tweet DeMarcus Cousins, who's been a sponsor of the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, but also I want you to right now tweet at JCrossover. Jamal Crawford is also has sent a donation to the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy to help sponsor our Sponsor a Scholar program.
So you will have two Sacramento Kings that are both donors to the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
I have a Hall of Famer in Isaiah Thomas, who sponsored the classroom, as well as Dave Bing, who's a member of our board. So to have my NBA brethren contribute their time and their money, it does mean a lot for what I hope to eventually try to get accomplished, having a state-of-the-art school as it relates to technology as well as facility.
I'm really proud of your work with the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. And I also want to salute both DeMarcus Cousins and Jamal Crawford for donating to the cause. You have predicted on this program that they might be teammates. You structured a little something, and when you said it to me, you gave me a little wink. And I know you're just listening to this on the radio, but when Jalen Rose gives a little wink, it's his way of saying, I know it's not on the news ticker. I know it's not been reported, but I got something. I got something for you. And I'm not going to go through the ESPN news desks and send the emails.
Can I tell you something funny? I tried to do that when it was time for LeBron to announce him leaving Cleveland, about where he was going to end up. And let me show you how sources work, because they're positioning things too.
So when you see Mark Stein reports or whatever like that, you know, they have to filter it through the news desk, through the intelligent, serious journalists.
And so the source wanted me to make the other team still feel like they had a chance and or they weren't wasting their time.
So you knew he was going to go to
Miami.
But you also had to hedge it in a certain way to make it feel like he might still go to
the Clippers.
Huh.
And so I wanted ESPN to know that I wanted ESPN to know I have the scoop. Now, I'm not here to break news because I know so many players and coaches and so many personnel in the league. Just to be 100, I only say 40% of what I really know because I'm a part of the fraternity. So I get the on-wax, off-wax conversations. And so there becomes a professional.
To raise that number.
Yes.
That's what I do every day.
It now becomes a professional filter. And so I found out that information. And so I was like, this is kind of big. I want to drop this one.
I want Jalen Rose to be the source.
Yes.
I want to say Jalen Rose report.
Correct.
LeBron James.
Correct.
Going to Miami or maybe the Clippers.
Correct. And so I call in and they say, well, you got to call the news desk. So then they give me another number. I call the news desk.
You just called like the main line in Bristol, right? You're like, hey, this is Jalen Rose. Can I talk to the
serious
serious people that work here?
Me is, who told you? I'm like, whoa, wait, hold on.
What do you mean?
Hit the brakes. I'm like, this relationship can't start like this. Like, what do you mean, who told me? Like, I'm guaranteeing you on my job that I know that he's going to play basketball with Miami next year. They like, we appreciate you acknowledging that, but we have to source it. And we have
You're like, I'm the source.
Correct.
That's me.
And not only did they want to source it, they either wanted to see and or read a text or email and or get the person's number to talk to them.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm out.
Okay. Hold on.
We're good.
You had me up until that last part. They're like, just show me the email that Mav sent you. I'm sorry, that your source sent you. Just show me the email.
And they don't know I'm like Tom Brady with the phone already. So I'm like, so let me get this right. Show you the message or forward you the message.
And then give you the plug's contact?
And or tell you who the plug is and or the contact.
What?
I'm like, well, you know what? I'll never break news.
You'll never see Jalen Rose. That's why you've never seen Jalen Rose report.
That's why we came with broken news. Because it allows us to articulate things that are going to happen without having to filter it through anybody.
And also, like those serious journalists, those intelligent, educated,
they're responsible. They're
responsible executives at this company. They don't listen to our show. They just look at the show and they see the pictures in the background. They're like,
like it's 5 a.m. No big deal.
What time is First Take on? I gotta watch that one. But you said it. Rudy Gay to the Clippers. Jalen Rose Leadership Academy donor Jamal Crawford going up to Sacramento along with the coach's son.
What else would they have to give up?
And we putting it on wax.
And I'm not saying both of those guys.
That's not a straight swap. You can't trade me. You can't give me Austin Rivers and not give you Rudy Gay. That's not how it works. I don't care how unhappy he is.
But you can give me Jamal for Rudy Gay.
Yeah, I'll take that. You know.
Well, here's what has happened with the Clippers roster. Redundancy in the backcourt.
Yep.
Let me preach to you.
Chris Paul and J.J. Redick are very different basketball players.
Let me preach to you. I'm not talking about from a skill set standpoint. I'm talking about they're challenged height-wise because you're going to have CP and Redick in late. And then if you have Jamal or Austin in with them, they're slight of build.
What do you do with Klay Thompson?
Okay? The league is now won by those guys that play on the wing, which is why the three best teams in the league have LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
Okay? So because of that redundancy, who has the most value? Jamal Crawford or Austin Rivers?
Jamal Crawford.
So that now becomes the attractive commodity that may have to become a part of the conversation, even if you don't want to give him up. If you are going to require somebody to play that spot to go against the guys I just mentioned. Big shout, Jay Crossover.
Good for him. You know, what really impresses me about this move from Jay Crossover and this text that you got is that at some point he had to say, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm not going to think about it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually fill out the form, write the check, get the mailing address, get the stamp, go online, click the links, put the expiration date in, fill in that thing that proves that you're not a robot, click on that, put in your expiration dates, and then fill all that stuff out so Jalen Rose Leadership Academy actually gets the donated money. It's a lot easier to say you're going to do something like that than to actually do it.
So if you see Boogie Cousins, if you see Jamal Crawford, if they're at a restaurant or they're out and about, make sure you buy their dinner or buy them a beverage on me.
Also, if you want to donate to the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, it's not as hard as that made it sound.
JRLADetroit.com.
And we putting it on wax.
We made a bet during the break.
Of all things you want to question me about,
I want to question you about everything. That's what my job is.
It's anything basketball. Yep. And B, something about the court.
The length of the court. I claimed it's 84 feet.
When I grew up playing on milk crates.
What's that got to do with anything? That means that you probably should. The question is how long is an NBA basketball court? I said 84 feet. He said 94 feet.
I'm not going to even make you pay the bet.
No, I'm doing it. Because we make a lot of push-up bets here, and before I shook your hand, I said payable immediately. No, I don't want your sympathy, Jalen Rose. Stop. Just stop. There's nothing more condescending than being, I don't even want you to have to pay the bet. It's 10 push-ups. I need the push-ups. You haven't seen me with my shirt off in a while. I need to do these push-ups.
To tell you why. It's such a landslide bet that I feel unfair.
No, do you know what it is? It's
such an easy one.
No. Is it so? Let's have production staff. Is it 84 feet or 94 feet?
I don't need research to tell.
Want them to tell me. I need an objective source to tell me.
It's 94 by 52.
Okay, wait. Hold up. What'd you say?
94 by 52.
Wrong. What is it? 94. Okay, so I'm doing 10 push-ups. If it's not 52, are you doing 10 push-ups?
No.
You know you're wrong. 94 by 50. I should know this because some of my friends have a marketing company called 94 by 50. So I'm going to do my 10 push-ups.
No, you don't have to.
No, I'm doing my 10 push-ups right now.
All right, let me take over the show. Can I sit over there at the board?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's do this live.
Please. Yes. Switch spots. I'm tired.
Hold on, don't start yet until I get on wax. 2, 3, 4,
See this form?
5, 6. This is what you should say. This is what you should do every time I speak. You know what else you should do? We're going to just stay over there for the rest of the next couple of segments. Let me just handle this.
All right.
That's what I hear from you when you ask me about the length of the court again. When we start talking basketball
What about the width of the court?
94 by 50.
I know you said 52, and you said it all strong, too. You're like, 94 by 52!
All right.
Don't question me. I grew up in milk crates. Remember that whole thing? Do you remember that section?
So I got something else
when you were talking out of your neck about milk crates.
We can make another
and
bet.
Don't question me about this and that.
We can make another bet.
You were wrong.
How far is the three-point shot from the top of the floor in the NBA?
I don't want to play this game. What do I get out of this? What do I get out of this? This is not entertaining. This is like Richard Sherman was talking about. He's like, you're losing the entertainment aspect. There's a reason. There's no trivia show that's hot right now in the streets. Okay. If you're gonna sit in my spot and you're gonna play with my soundboard,
yep,
you gotta at least ask me a question or drive some sort of content.
I will. So Dave Chappelle is now going to be on Saturday Night Live. That's a really good look. That's a great idea.
He's hosting it. And he's not going to be on Saturday Night Live. It's Saturday Night Party.
Oh! This is how I was when I got asked my first question in Family Feud for the speed money. Pass.
What was that question? I forgot now.
It was... I'm not sure.
You're a great host.
So let's do something else. Jim Harbaugh criticizes the Big Ten for scheduling Friday night games. Your thoughts?
Here's the thing, Jim Harbaugh.
What do you call Jim Harbaugh?
The Kanye West of college football.
Why is that?
Because he stays in the headlines. And he's got an opinion on everything, right? He's always in the headlines. Friday night football is probably a good thing for the business because it's a good thing for ratings, which is a good thing for money, which is a good thing long term. And his idea that it's infringing upon high school football night, come on now. Come on now.
Well, there's a reason probably why my school is amongst the best in recruiting because we take advantage of those Friday nights. Yep. What he's saying is exactly right. It allows coaches like him who multitask, who give satellite camps, who go to football games of high school kids and give away who's going to be the homecoming king or queen. Those guys get rewarded on Friday nights when they go get to see the players up close and personal. And also, when you're getting $115,000 every Saturday at the big house, you don't want to infringe on that by having a game during a weekday.
That's one of the things they said, that the Michigan fans, they travel so well.
You know who has the most wins in collegiate football all time?
Get off the bandwagon.
What are your thoughts
I have a lot of thoughts
on LeBron James averaging a triple-double?
Okay. I'm glad you brought this up.
Okay.
Because my co-host has been stuck on a stat.
Yep.
He's been stuck on a stat. He's been stuck on this topic a little bit because my friend Jalen Rose says that LeBron James can't average a triple-double, even if he just dedicated himself to solely averaging a triple-double, because he would never be able to lead his team in rebounds, which led to what question, Mr. Rose?
Acknowledge the players who both averaged 10-plus rebounds on the same roster the same season. And doing that research, I noticed that all of those guys, Ewing, Oakley, Charles Barkley, Jason Williams, Moses Malone, Charles Barkley, Moses Malone, Kevin Willis, Dennis Rodman, as well as David Robinson, Barkley, and Olajuwon, all are power forward center combinations.
Mm-hmm.
Which means the geometry of the floor leads to your best rebounders being closer to the basket, actually clearing the backboard. You don't want LeBron James dribbling 90 to 94 feet after a rebound every time. You want him dribbling it like 80 because he just got an outlet pass that's 10 feet up the floor.
Jalen, what are we doing this show? Still not going to sing? There's something so philosophical and meta about what's happening here, because you sing "got to give the people what they want" as if that's your motto, as if you've got to give the people what they want. However, when you stop singing that, people express what they want. What do they want, Jalen?
That's not necessarily true.
They want you to sing. Yep. So now you're refusing not just to sing about how you give the people what they want, you refuse to actually give the people what they want.
That's not necessarily true. I haven't heard an outcry about it.
Outcry is a strong word. We did get a handful of tweets. Yep. Okay? And in today's society, in today's sports media, a handful of tweet equals outcry. That's what's happened now. David wants to know, why do you think the Mavericks are winless? This won't last long. Like, the Sixers might not get a win for a while, but the Mavs will get a win. But why is it this particular retooled team has not found a victory thus far?
All new players asked to do different roles. And I'll go behind the curtain for you. Wesley Matthews' second year after an injury. Before he got hurt, he was amongst the league leaders with Steph Curry and Dame Lillard and made threes in the whole game.
You know what people always say? It's the second year back is when you're really 100% back. So I did expect a little bit more from him this year.
Darren Williams, not the all-star he was in Utah, clearly.
No.
Not as productive at some points that he was with the Nets. You felt going home, he'd be rejuvenated playing against some of the best in the West. And there would be times where he'd take over games, get you the points, get you the assists, and be a guy that you could rely on to get those numbers on a nightly basis. That hasn't necessarily happened. But here's the anchor. When you go out in free agency and you select two guys that you want to sign your salary cap dollars to that were members of the Golden State Warriors. That's Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut. You now need those guys to be your most reliable performers on a nightly basis. You know why? They have the new money.
They do.
That's why you bring them in.
Do you know what they weren't asked to do last year? Be the most reliable performers on a nightly basis.
And so, though they were starters on a 73-win team in Golden State that made it to back-to-back NBA finals that won one championship, they're now, especially Harrison Barnes, asked to take on the lead role. And that's scoring the ball, which he was reluctant to do at times, and he really struggled in the NBA Finals making an open shot. Like, he was literally open for a reason.
Is there a part of Dirk Nowitzki that's like, I came back for this? I came back for this?
Dirk is loyal to his Dallas soil. And since he won a championship there, kind of like Drew Brees with New Orleans, we're not expecting him to win more. So I think he is fine with being on a team that is playoff bound, but if that's going to happen, they got to get it in gear.
Ruperto wants to know, worst situation, Boogie or AD?
Worst situation, Boogie or AD? I would have to say Boogie.
I would have to say so, too. There just seems to be so much more turmoil and instability in his career thus far.
Well, he's had 6 coaches in 7 years. And look no further than the year when they drafted Boogie in the first round and Hassan Whiteside in the second round. Of course, Hassan has bounced around and took a time to find his home or whatnot. Yep. But I just wanted to point that out. And here's another draft I want you to look at if you're a Sacramento fan. The year they took Jimmer in the lottery and took Isaiah Thomas as the 60th pick. Traded Isaiah. And we're not going to talk about Tyreek Evans, who also gave them 25 and 5. Mm-hmm. Both of those guys end up on other teams. Isaiah then leaves Phoenix, goes to Boston, and becomes an all-star.
And then you pick Stauskas.
And he's now with the Sixers. So I'm just going to shake him up, and throw some out on the table. If it happens, it happens. Don't be surprised if Boogie tries to get to Boston.
The Podfather would love that.
Oh, did I? Oh, my bad. Or vice versa.
Sean wants to know, will Clay make the All-Star team with subpar stats, or will this have to be part of the sacrifice?
The sacrifice, basketball-wise, is for the creators. Draymond Green, who led that team in not only rebounds but assists.
Good point.
And Steph Curry, who clearly plays point guard. Steph, being a catch-and-shoot performer, comes off screens, gets flares, second pass of a rotation, jump shot, wide-open threes. He doesn't have to make too much of an adjustment on that end of the floor because Kevin Durant is an isolation player, a complete offensive weapon. You saw how he did it against OKC. He had dunks, put-back dunks, post-up moves, drives to the basket, long threes, longer threes. Like, he just is iceberg slim shooting trades from the suburbs. For Clay, he will get going. And he has been a player that does it in spurts. Owns the most points in a quarter in league history. And when he does get going, his averages won't be pedestrian. And yes, he will be an all-star.
Next question that we have. This one is from Jose. He asks us a lot of questions. Big shout out to Jose Aguilar. How long would Jalen last on the Naked and Afraid show? Are you familiar with the show? It's one of my favorite shows.
I would last long enough for them to say the word naked on the telephone before they hear a dial tone.
That's what I was going to say. They had this one episode of that show where they pulled the boat up to where they were going to drop the woman off, and she didn't even get off the boat. She was just like, nope, don't even let me off of this boat. Jalen would not sign up for the Naked and Afraid show. We didn't get you on Dancing with the Stars?
It always happens during basketball season. This is why you always see NFL players participate.
Are we
going to
get
NBA
more
players.
To Tell the Truth on ABC?
We will get more to tell the truth. I'm shooting one episode on the 12th. I'm shooting 2 episodes on the 17th.
Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.
This is Larry Culpepper, inventor of the college football playoff. Goes without saying that I know about a good idea or two when it comes to college football. And the best idea out there is to subscribe to the Championship Drive podcast in the Listen tab of your ESPN app.
Oregon brings an offense averaging over 40 points per game into the Coliseum to face the red-hot USC Trojans. Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio, presented by Dr. Pepper.